You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Ready to stand out, Army ROTC prepares you not only as a college student, but as a strong leader, allowing you to earn the rank of second lieutenant. You will be eligible for full tuition merit-based scholarships and develop leadership skills essential for your future. Start strong and enhance your college experience. Visit your campus Army ROTC representative today. To find out how you can earn up to a full tuition scholarship, visit goarmy.com/podcast to locate your closest ROTC program today. Army officers inspire, strengthen others. Paid for by the United States Army.
At the LASIK Vision Institute, we know LASIK is a big decision, and every one of our patients is unique. That's why we customize your LASIK journey to you.
I only have a certain budget.
No problem. Right now at the LASIK Vision Institute, get 20% off LASIK when treated in April. That can be over $900 off when treating both eyes, plus guaranteed financing options. So visit getlvilasik.com today to start your journey towards 20/20 vision. Must mention this promotion to be treated in April of 2024 to qualify. 20% off standard price of wave light procedure. Cannot be combined with any other offers. Go to getlvilasik.com for details. At the LASIK Vision Institute, we know LASIK is a big decision, and every one of our patients is unique. That's why we customize your LASIK journey to you.
I'm so busy right now.
We offer a mix of convenient days and times, including 30-minute virtual appointments to fit your schedule.
I would love it, but I have astigmatism.
We treat thousands of patients with astigmatism every month with great outcomes. The LASIK Vision Institute is making your journey towards 20/20 vision all about you. So visit getlvilasik.com today to start your LASIK journey.
I am Conor McGregor, multiple weight MMA champion. I'm a fighter and I've been through many battles in the octagon. Many consider my fights in the octagon heroic, but the real-life heroes are those men and women who fight to protect us every day. The real-life fighters, the real-life heroes, are the firefighters and police officers. These first responders are true heroes, because these brave men and women put themselves in the line of danger every single day protecting us all. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation ensures that first responders from fire, EMS and police departments who are killed in the line of duty with young children have a home without the burden of a mortgage. They are my heroes. They need our help today. I'd like to ask you to join me in donating $11 a month to support their efforts. Your $11 a month honours and supports our first responders. Please call now at 1-844-BRAVEST or visit tunneltotowers.org.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq, Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Ain't no stop for me. Good evening,
evening.
everybody.
How are you today?
I'm fabulous. How are you? I'm really excited for our topic tonight.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's always a great night when we talk about Donna Buckley, aka the sheriff that looks like the Sailor Sam in her little outfit. But anyhow, I digress.
You think she's an admiral?
Law enforcement official? Yeah.
Yeah. Gone. Hey, what would you, when you hear the word slut?
I think back to like high school, junior high school.
I mean, what does that word conjure up for you?
Someone that's loose. I guess that's one way to phrase it.
Sexually promiscuous.
Yes.
Maybe a little dirty.
Possibly.
Right? She's a slut.
Someone that has no what's the word I want to use?
No self-respect.
I wouldn't say self-respect. Someone that's non-discerning when it comes to their partners. How's that for a politically correct way of phrasing it?
Slut's more like,
oh,
I'll have sex with you, and then when that guy gets out of the bathroom, I'll have sex with him in totally sober, none of that. Just like it's almost like a deviant, like someone. If you call someone a slut, that's so demoralizing. Now imagine.
Well, hang on.
A slut that's in uniform.
Before you go any further, I have the perfect quote of what it reminds me of when somebody calls someone a slut.
Oh, go ahead, Rick.
Hannah, you dirty slut! You've gone down on everything but the Titanic.
Oh my Lord.
Robin Williams playing Adrian Cronauer. Good morning, Vietnam. My mic is now closed.
Oh.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Rick.
And there are different.
Of the Titanic.
Well, what I was going to say is there are different ways of using the word slut. Okay, like I could say, "Oh my God," to a close friend. "Oh my God, you're such a hoe. You're such a slut." Okay, that is completely different than when you are in a professional setting, right?
How about when you don't know someone, when you don't have friends in common, you don't socialize outside of work, and that person is your boss, and they're in charge, and say you're on probation. I hear one of these people are on probation. You could be fired for any whatever like messed up, made up reason that the sheriff has used recently to fire people. So it's more about like what the power that person has over you.
Well, anyone in a position of authority using that type of language to their insubordinates is 100% intimidation.
But how about
and lack of respect for your insubordinates?
Thank you. And here's the conundrum, and here's what you end up with when you're in law enforcement. No one wants to, quote, rock the boat, because even though there's good people in policing and in corrections, and in this case, I believe that there may have even been some people who weren't themselves sexually harassed, but reported that these girls were being called sluts. And how about this word, camel toe? First of all, like, okay, if that is true, you could politely pull someone aside at the beginning of the shift and go, listen, you might want to go home and get some pants. Those seem to be a little bit tight, and you don't want to be wearing pants that are that tight in this atmosphere. Now, I don't know if the pants were tight or not, but the fact that the supervisor would be like, I can see your camel toe.
Well, first of all, what the hell is a supervisor, male or female, looking at somebody's crotch? Let's be honest here. All right, why are you looking at their crotch in the first place? Okay, would you say that? Or, okay, let's flip the tables here. Would this same supervisor be looking at another male officer's junk in his trunk and say, hey, he's well endowed? Would she make the same comment and say, well, your big wanger is showing?
Isn't junk in his trunk about his bum?
No, junk is another phrase for what's in the front as
But you
well.
said junk in the trunk.
Well,
So
you know what
to
I'm
me, that would
saying.
be
I'm
bum.
being
Just junk, I would
fresh.
have got.
His junk. Let's not get technical in the phrase. His junk. Okay. Okay. His junk.
No,
Let's just put it that way. But would that get no, but seriously, okay. What is the difference between a man being well endowed and having a big bulge? Okay, because I'm sorry, if they're well endowed, they're probably going to have a bulge. And someone, it's like, why are you looking at the crotch?
Well, I mean,
I would question, is this person who happens to be involved with someone in the department concerned that perhaps their partner could be also looking at that area?
Well,
I mean,
well, here's the thing. It's not, you might notice something like that. And I mean, it would be very gingerly, would have to be spoken to someone. I don't know how you would go about doing that, but you'd have to do it. The point is whether it's a guy or a girl, like no one has to tell anybody that you can't call your subordinates sluts in camel toes, and when they're sitting around at the table eating lunch, be like, "Oh, you're with all the sluts." Like you can't do that.
No,
you can't do that. And
in
even
any
in the state police, women didn't do that.
in any
It's
professional atmosphere, that type of conduct would be at a minimum reprimandable, but in this day and age, terminable. You can't do it.
No, and my husband said to me, like I told him when I was working, a couple of things that happened. He goes, that guy would be out the door so fast. I mean, there would be no investigation. He would just be fired. But strangely, what I'm hearing is that there was no investigation because the woman who did the sexual harassing, Dawn Arthurs, is in Las Vegas right now on a law enforcement conference. But don't you remember when Donna Buckley was campaigning, she said, we're not a law enforcement agency. We are the care and in custody of inmates.
Justice challenged individuals.
Right. So, but why is this? I mean, could you imagine if a man called someone a slut and camel toe, and then he was sent on a paid 3-day vacation to Las Vegas?
I think there would be a lot of comments about that. And he probably would have been put on paid administrative leave while they, I'm sorry to say this because it's a joke, investigated.
Every person in there, if they're certified, should be decertified for not investigating us.
Yeah, but then to put that person, and hey, it's similar to the state police, Daryl, and you know this well, but then to put that person in a position of authority over the very people that have made a complaint. And
wait, this is what I forgot to tell you too. So I guess Mean Colleen came in off shift, and this would be a violation of the female lieutenant's rights. She came in off shift without notice, from what I understand, grabbed Lieutenant Duddy or Officer Armstrong, or whatever you want to call her, and was talking to her for 2 hours. She ended up crying and ended up going home. But, did Mean Colleen let her have a union rep? She spoke to her for 2 hours without a union rep, and obviously no discipline resulted because she ended up going on a paid 3-day vacation to Las Vegas.
And it apparently doesn't take 2 hours to tell someone that they violated and harassed female insubordinates.
And I think the number I have is 7 people made reports. 7.
But yet
there was no
investigation, or the purported investigation came back unfounded.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, there is no record of the investigation because if it came back unfounded, and if Lieutenant Arthur said they're all lying. This was what my, Lieutenant Buckley said about me. She's only saying that because I disciplined her. Look, nobody is going to come forward with a complaint in a law enforcement agency, especially as a woman, and not be truthful. It's too much harassment. It's too much worry. You got to get to the point where you're like, I'm just going to do it because it's the right thing to do. And I can't leave the women who forged the path for me to be here. I can't leave them hanging. And then the women that come after me, I'd be the jerk who was like, oh, too bad, fend for yourself. But what I'm more disturbed about is the same woman I have on good authority was in defensive training. And it was like an in-service, so there's a lot of men there. And she goes, you got to put your arm around the person like this, and don't worry about grabbing me because I paid extra for these boobs and they don't pop. And not one person made a complaint. If she's talking like that in a room full of 20 men, and she's been harassing younger females for a long time, is what our information is, they've just emboldened her to do it more. Or does she have secrets, like maybe the beating of that Jason Slovic that happened in 2020? Maybe she knows where that film went.
I mean, you know what they say, the keeper of the secrets is usually the one that gets protected the most.
Maybe she knows why Rick Corey left. Or how Donna set him up to catch him going to Home Depot.
I mean, when you think about it, the buck stops at the top, and the top is Donna Buckley. And so far we have, well, I was going to say, so far, she has been one of the most inept. And this is what the problem is, people, when you go out and you vote for someone that has absolutely no law enforcement type of experience whatsoever, that was a labor attorney who, oh my gosh, should know better than this. She should realize she's supposed to protect her entire department from any type of liability. And this is one of the biggest types of liability that makes me cringe.
It's the worst because she's a woman and she's not protecting women. And if she's not protecting women, she's allowing everybody in that department, all those administrative deputy superintendents, she's just allowed and given her tacit allowance of every woman in that place being sexually harassed. And what makes me sick is I understand that some of these things were said in front of inmates denigrating females. If any of those inmates were shocked and harassed and overcome, they can file third-party sexual harassment charges against the sheriff. And then what happens when there's no investigation? The only way that you get to these people is to sue them and bring them out into court, because it's not a self-correcting like chemistry experiment. People who lead by fear are the worst leaders in the whole entire world. And I can't imagine anybody being truly loyal to her.
No.
They're loyal to her to use her.
No, I mean,
out of fear.
You
can only affect change when you're the boss. Okay, she is the boss. If I was the boss of the state police and I heard that 7 people reported on the same one person, that's pretty consistent. And for if she, Dawn, is actually saying, Dawn Arthur's lieutenant type, is actually saying that they're making it up, then there should full on be an investigation against every single one of those people that she said is lying.
And it should be an outside investigation, and it should not be Regina Ryan.
You know what? I don't agree with those outside investigations. I think, maybe the Department of Justice or something, because they just hire people like Regina Ryan who are being sued by Revere PD, and they lie by omission, and you really never get the facts. I mean, why can't you just do things by the book, really, Donna?
Because And here's the issue that people as well don't understand when you vote for an elected sheriff is that they're autonomous. They don't answer to anybody. Nobody. They don't answer to the Barnstable County Commission. They don't answer to the state. They don't answer to literally anybody.
Well,
they can hire whoever they want. Obviously, they can let their employees.
Your audio is coming in kind of bad.
Oh, I thought my audio. I sound fine. I don't know. But it's yours.
Do I sound all right? Because you sound
fine.
Underwater. Well, what it does is it results in such poor morale when you think that your own boss doesn't have your back, or, like, I'm really happy that some people that weren't involved heard it and complained, because, it's one thing. When you're a supervisor, you have a responsibility, and your responsibility is to teach and then to protect those people.
Correct.
And then after you're done teaching them whatever, if you don't like them, you don't have to purposely hang around with them, but you don't call people sluts and camel toes and degrade people and degrade yourself in front of inmates, because I believe it lessens your authority.
I mean, what's the old biblical phrase about casting the stones? I mean, when your history is as checkered and as colorful as this person's history, to turn around and call new employees that name is probably not quite appropriate.
Not at all. But I bet she uses that ace in the hole, for everything. And people, I'd just love to see just a class action lawsuit come out of that place, because there's nothing like a lawsuit to kind of, clean this stuff up.
I mean, honestly, in my, and this is my opinion, I believe that sheriff's department has the most inept, ineffective human resource department that I've ever come across in my dealings. I obviously have my connections up here in New Hampshire. I spoke to someone, same position, that's actually in high-level county law enforcement, who stated his recommendation is they go straight to whistleblower. To whistleblower. And he stated as well, if there's anything he can't stand, it is a bad, corrupt, public official that is in charge of an agency. They can't stand it. And anybody that is normally in the law enforcement does not like this type of atmosphere for their employees. And he's and his recommendation was go straight to whistleblower, because obviously they're condoning what is happening. He was horrified when I gave him a little bit of the background. He was horrified. He was like, this is outrageous.
Well, I hear that I don't know if there's one or two that are on probation, but to be on probation and, to have this be the job that you wanted to have, now you finally have it. And then you have this, this totally degrading, unprofessional, immature, I would even say ignorant, to be calling your subordinate.
How long has she been a lieutenant for?
I think she's got 18 or 19-year-old twins, so probably that long.
A lieutenant for that long, or just as part of the sheriff's department?
On the job. Yeah, on the job.
And was she one of the ones?
Gosh, this is what I was going to tell you. So she leaves because she's so upset because me and Colleen said you can't call people sluts. And then she taught at the academy for the next 2 days. So she's actually a training instructor who called subordinates sluts and camel toes and other things, is allowed to mix in with brand new trainees.
Wow.
There's this post is one thing, but this coast is coming up too. And, really Donna has to either conform or, I don't know.
What is coast?
Coast it's supposed to be like post, but I'm sure it'll be a little bit more stricter because it has to do with, inmates and the incarcerated population.
So it's the post is the police officers, and then coast is the correctional officers.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
Because post they'll certify deputies in the sheriff's department, although they claim to not have any authority over any of them that even are certified because they're not, quote, police officers. So why they're even on the post, it has the whole thing. I mean, there's like 8 post investigators for the whole entire state. Well, that's a great thing for a commission to do, to really come in and clean up what needs to be cleaned up.
Yeah, and then
and then who's watching the post officials that are sending in the reports on other police officers?
Well, we had the example of that officer from Boxford that got called in after a 30-year career or whatever, and was told, you were written up in 1990 something by the University of Lowell campus police, and you were written up for not doing a report correctly, and you're fired. You're terminated. It's a terminable offense. It's like, are you kidding me? Excuse me, what?
Right. It's just,
I mean, that's outrageous.
I went to post when the felon was working at the sheriff's department, and he said to me, well, he's not a police officer. I'm like, but he was a police officer and a drug felon who ratted people out.
And why isn't he on the post list?
Because they only did it, when they started it,
that's ridiculous.
They only went back like 2 years or something. But, obviously, if you don't care, what is it, like 20 years, then you don't see a felony on your record? I don't know. I mean, just the whole thing is just ridiculous. Like here's a woman who, for all intents and purposes, had she followed through with what she was going to do, and even if I didn't like it, someone like her should have hired a consultant, and the consultant would have some law enforcement and some sheriff experience and show her the ropes of what to do. But having an inmate overdose twice and not taking him to the hospital, to have a 19-year female Coast Guard veteran report that she was sexually harassed and then fire her after she files the report, to fire a Marine veteran that was viciously attacked and he asked for some mental health, fired. And really, Donna, you know what I'm talking about. Why don't you do the right thing? You got, an ADS there buying a sober home and lies on his mortgage application, Donnie Doyle. So, what does that place stand for? And if these people don't stand up, the people that were sexually harassed, then what does it mean that place is?
I don't know.
If all that happened, what is that place? Is that a place that you really think you're going to rehabilitate?
Nope.
Inmates? If you're treating your own people with such a lack of due process and violating your employees' civil rights?
No.
And that's why she's doing what? Pumping them all full of Suboxone so she can shoot them off to her friends' sober homes?
And it's a good question. I mean, there's got to be rhyme or reason in here for it. Taking advantage of the system.
Taking advantage of,
because she's in charge of the system,
right? You're in charge of the system, yet you let an inmate overdose twice and don't take him to the hospital. And by the way, he's black, if that makes a difference to anybody. He was a criminal, yeah, but he should have been taken to the hospital.
Well, I mean, you're supposed to, treat criminals because there might be criminals, but they're still human, obviously.
Yeah, there's a difference between poor, stupid, and criminal.
But I always, and I know people are just like, well, they bring drugs in, but how can an inmate overdose on drugs if they're in a controlled situation?
Because he's overdosing on the Suboxone that they're giving him.
And that's interesting in itself. Who is monitoring
and here's what I'm saying. That's why they didn't bring him to the hospital.
Because they didn't want...
When he didn't have heroin in his system, ding, 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 ding. Hey, maybe you're over, maybe you're giving this guy too much Suboxone. I hear there's people walking around in there like zombies. just high as kites, people who don't even have drug charges.
It's outrageous.
There's got to be an investigation. There really does. I mean, the fact that that Mike Halpin, Michael Harris, Donnie Doyle, Lou Langton, who the other guys over there, are not doing anything about their female subordinates being called sluts and camel toes and humiliated. They are ignoring it. Ignoring it completely. That whole place. That empowering women, the Martin Luther King cry, fake cry in the Falmouth Green about how women were treated and when they got to be able to vote, and she cried about how sad she was about women.
And how she wants to obviously protect women, but guess what? She's allowing this to happen. And the buck stops at the top. Donna's responsible for this. Donna should be getting off her, going traveling to other jails to see how they run. And she should get her butt into her own and take a look at exactly what's going on. Or either that, because or they got the standard letter back from her executive assistant or something, because God knows how much of this investigation is actually getting to her.
Oh, it doesn't matter because vicarious liability doesn't have the element of knowledge. She should know what's going on. And I think as a labor attorney, I don't know where she graduated in her class in law school, but clearly she doesn't know human resources, and clearly she doesn't know procurement. And, she's got someone advising her for taxes who's okay. What's her name? Tierney? Yep. So I think they think that they can just glide and they can step on other people and they can demoralize people, and it doesn't matter if it's inmates or if it's employees or if it's drug addicts or people who overdosed. I was really hoping it was going to be different, but the only thing
you knew it wasn't going to be different. Here's the thing: when you put somebody that is completely inexperienced, because you just don't go from being a labor attorney for the Mass Teachers Association and you go work for the Sheriff's Department for 3 years as their labor attorney that's supposed to, protect the Sheriff's Department and represent them for lawsuits, okay, to then becoming the sheriff.
Becoming the defendant in the lawsuit.
Yeah, with no experience in how to run, because the sheriff is also a business model, okay, with a budget. And she has no experience whatsoever to be in charge of that type of budget. Obviously, knowing the first thing that she did was promote all these people. Well, actually, she got rid of all the people that knew everything that was going on in the jail, that, were senior officers that knew how it was all run. First thing she did is, I'm so happy to announce the retirement of so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. She got rid of them all.
Well, what happened is
to put in her own fiefdom.
Well, I don't believe that she ever thought she was going to win, so she didn't really have a plan in place. So once she realized that she won, she had to then go and kiss them behind and make some deals. So she made a deal with Bob Ahonen about, how long he was going to stay and what his retirement rate was going to be, because I think they bumped him up. I don't know if that's legal, but she gave him the superintendent / special sheriff, which bumped him up into another insurance pension category.
Yeah.
And she rehired his wife back. And then Donnie Doyle bought a sober home, so she gave him a promotion. And, there were some deals made behind the scenes. And, of course, the Portuguese Ray Donovan knows where all the bodies are buried. So, of course, why wouldn't they be afraid of a lawsuit? Because they know that deposition means discovery. So, it's sad to know that there's people like that will just fire someone to cover something up and take their money away or their livelihood away, and that I've met them.
Oh yeah. And they make up, and she, uses her shield of Colleen, who, as I've said, I mean, I've been years in human resources as well. And let me tell you something. Some of the stuff that woman has done, I'm horrified that more lawsuits haven't been filed. She's incompetent.
She's absolutely incompetent. What she tries to do is to say, oh, whatever you do, don't tell the sheriff. But what she doesn't realize is that's not protecting the sheriff. It's called
Whatever you
liability.
do,
Look it up.
don't tell the sheriff, okay, is one of the main things that anyone in human resources would never state, okay? Because the first thing they have to do is report it to the sheriff to let them know what is going on. Because when you are the head, you need to know everything that is going on below you. So for her to say, whatever you do, don't tell the sheriff, and if indeed those were words that came out of her mouth, shows her level of incompetence.
Well,
and the fact...
and she manipulates. She tries to manipulate these young people and tells them lies, and it'll all shake out in the end. We just need some very brave people that are willing to come forward, because it's not easy to come forward.
No.
But that place is a mess. I mean, I wish someone from medical would contact me, because I hear that those drug bills are astronomical. We only have 160 inmates at the Barnstable County House of Correction. And with the budget that really Donna has, each one of those inmates could get $100,000. We could we could probably send them to BC for at least 2 or 3 years with the money that comes in to take care of 100.
They might be lucky if they get a year, but yeah,
whatever. 160 inmates.
Well,
it's an awful lot of services, and it's a ton of dope, because if there's 160 people there and 70 of them are on doped out and only 12 of them have felony drug offenses, I wonder about consent. Are these people given informed consent when they're given this highly addictive drug of Suboxone? And do they realize that they have to wean themselves off of that?
I mean, in reality, who does the sheriff have to report her budget to? It's definitely not the Barnstable County commissioners. She does not have to report it to them.
Well, I don't know that she has to report anything, but it really needs to be like, maybe a really good criminal RICO case or something that would splash that place open to show the utter abuse, the overspending, the underhandedness, the
nepotism,
just the suicides. I think someone committed suicide, if not this past year, that used to work there. And it doesn't have to be that way if you have a decent culture. And the culture there is really bad. It's really bad.
And the reason probably why it's really bad, as you can see, is that there's, I'll go right out there. There is too many people have too many things on people, and they're willing to use it, and it's not right.
Yep.
And the ones that are doing this, that are creating this level of hostile work environment, know that they can get away with it because no one's going to say anything to them, because people are afraid. And those are the worst of the worst.
If I worked there, I'd be telling on Kevin Fernandez. I'd be telling on him.
I would be singing louder than freaking Tweety Bird when he was running away from Sylvester in the friggin' Looney Tunes, okay? There's no way you would shut me up.
You be a mentally disabled man all the way down the street with another guy whose name starts with an L. I hear that someone has a video. So that would be extremely interesting to see why a guy who was in handcuffs and had an IQ of 70 was being beat because he called somebody fat. So that'll be super.
And there's a video of it?
Allegedly, someone was told to delete it, but that somebody else allegedly took a video of it before it was deleted. So, That could be priceless.
Absolutely priceless. I mean, that could be career ending, I would think, wouldn't you?
Well, it could be career ending, or if the right person got it, it could be a career skyrocketed to get rid of him. But
And
we
here's the
never
thing:
know.
inmates are at their most vulnerable when they're in jail or going into the jail. Yeah.
Well, I mean, everybody's vulnerable in there, and there shouldn't be any disrespect. I would hope that at least corrections officers have that between them. Is cops don't disrespect each other in front of an inmate or in front of someone you're going to lock up, or someone you're trying to work. You just
you create a level of I mean, if you made the comments as we talked about before, where you call another female officer a slut, and it happens, and maybe it happened in front of inmates, maybe it didn't, but if it did happen in front of inmates, you have then taken a person that is a corrections officer that's in uniform and you sexualize them to that inmate who knows how long they may have been without a female partner, for example, that are all of a sudden looking at that person in uniform in a whole different way that creates an unsafe situation.
See, I think of it in the way of not as so much sexualizing, but in the hierarchy of things, if I would never speak to another female like that. I mean, I would never walk into a room and degrade another female in front of anyone because it's not professional. But I would be worried that person wouldn't be safe because they wouldn't be respected, that they didn't punch that other person in the face. Because literally, if somebody called me a slut, I would probably want to punch them if I was in that type of situation. Of course, I would. I'm not saying that I would, but you get that feeling like if you had a Christmas present and you weren't going to get in trouble, that's the first thing you would do is just pop that person one.
Well, I mean, back in high school, when someone called me that, I punched them right in the face.
But seriously,
I'm not going to name names.
To me, it's just like this is such a big deal that a woman that has care in custody of inmates and that purports to be, empowering women would not investigate a sexual harassment complaint when 7 people came forward, with, from what I hear, is basically the same story. Now, if the female perpetrator was like, it wasn't me, I didn't say it, then there should be an investigation of those 7 people for untruthfulness. But you can't have it both ways. And I don't know any sexual harassment case that's been done just in time for the perp to go to Las Vegas.
Well, I mean, first of all, you have 7 people that have made a complaint and one person that says, I didn't do it. Right. So are you basically stating that the other 7 people lied?
Yeah, that's what she's saying. So there's got to be an investigation of those other 7 people. Where's the footage? Get the footage. She allegedly
what makes her, who happens to be friends with this person, be the arbiter of making that decision? Because we all know the vagueness and the untruthfulness of this person when it comes to doing investigations.
Yep.
And the advice given to people when they are finally coming forward to do the investigation. The secretiveness. That's not how HR works. So I would love to know where this person received her training, because let me tell you something. She is one lawsuit away. And if I were anybody that I was going to sit there and sue, and knowing that perhaps the investigation was, what's the word I want to say? Subverted or whatever, right? I would double check to see if she could also be held personally liable. So I would certainly hope, if I was this person and if she could potentially be held personally liable, she might want to sit there and take a good look at her insurance policy and add, that personal liability that,
She's most definitely liable.
Get that umbrella policy, sweetie.
What she's done is egregious. and deceptive and improved. And you couldn't be more mean to people and more deceitful and cause them more angst. And I did say that there was a CO that committed suicide. I think it was this year. That worked at Barnstable. So
that's a shame.
You're supposed to be, as HR of the whole entire operation there, you're supposed to have a heart and a soul and help people. And helping veterans would be a really good place to start. And when people come to you and say that they're distraught, and you say, well, you're just going to be put on an investigation, like, why don't you just relax? Why don't you just relax? You're getting paid. Someone's whole job is being taken away from them. And
why don't you relax? You're getting paid. Are you kidding me?
Relax. Yeah, why don't you relax?
Dear Lord, I'm
right.
just cringing right now at oh my gosh.
Right. Just relax.
I'd like to know, she's sending these, people to these women leadership things in Vegas, whatever. Perhaps she might need to be taking a little bit more human resources classes.
She should be investigated, is what she should be, because she's violating people's civil rights. I'm sure she's violating their FMLA if people are asking for FMLA and she's delaying it in any way. If she's, not putting them on the proper, if they were out injured and she's making them take vacation, it'll.
I mean, they can have you take vacation and everything, but what the issue is that she's doing, and the most egregious is, and I'm pretty sure she's probably told this to many people, don't tell the sheriff. That is just
well, here's what I think,
and
I think in her both their simple minds, I think she's saying that because she somehow believes that she shelters the sheriff from owning any sort of immunity. Well, guess what? You don't. You own it all. It's vicarious liability. You're the boss. Even if you don't know about it, you're going to get sued about it.
Well, and the thing is it done, on purpose, where, as Donna seems to, in her mind, probably think, well, if I don't know about it, if my human resource person isn't telling me about it like she should, guess who's going to have the bus driven right over her back with tracks left? That's going to be fine.
But like I said, and knowledge isn't an element. When you sign up to be the sheriff, you took an oath. You're the top law enforcement. You are. You have certain responsibilities, and they're laid out in the CMRs. You can't abdicate your responsibility by refusing to promulgate policies or by refusing to sign documents. You are never going to abdicate responsibility unless, of course, you would like to resign. But you own everything that happens there. And it might take, some big change there, or some people that are really brave, or some guys with some big balls that are like, you know what? Yeah, I'm done. I'm ready to tell people about what's going on there. I'm ready to either be a whistleblower, or I'm ready to, provide information that can be proven. That's what happens when people are wronged or treated this poorly, is you have no loyalty. There's no loyalty to you. Your head should be on a swivel every day.
Oh, exactly. I mean, people are understanding now they don't have to take it anymore. And if they speak out, because here's the thing that, and I think you and I are both committed to this, whether it is a town or a state office or your municipality or a school district, if there's corruption involved and we see that there are parents or employees that are receiving false information because people don't know how the system works, we're going to be the ones that are going to tell you we're going to help you because we do know how the system works. Between your experience in law enforcement, my experience in public office, we've seen it all. We've had people try to do stuff, and you're going through it right, now with your lawsuit coming up.
And what bothers me too, though, is I understand that there's corruption and all of that. But when it gets to the point where you're going to use your power and, maybe a job you just got or maybe a job that you've had, but you're going to use that power to take a job away from someone who hasn't done a thing to you, who hasn't done anything wrong, who hasn't broken the law, who has done a good job. That's malicious. It's intentional. It's conspiracy. It's interference. And it's a violation of people's due process, is to conspire to take their job from them.
Right.
A job is like property. Everybody deserves to have a job not be taken away from them nefariously. And when you strip people of money and dignity and health insurance, that's why we started doing this, is because those people who were left and the insurance was cut off and had no money, that's how we started. Because
exactly,
it's bullshit to extort people. Like, you think you're extorting their loyalty, but they really hate you. You can pretend you're tight, the colonel, lieutenant colonel, the majors, you're all higgly giggly about your pensions, but that place is a house of hate. You guys got to stick together and watch your back.
Yeah, because they're most certainly some of the ones working in there are looking for your back.
Right. I feel bad for the nurses. I mean, imagine those nurses that know that they're dosing these people with way too much drugs. And who's talking these inmates into, I mean, of course they're depressed when they get to jail, but now they're all like slumped over and high as kites. And when they get out, they're going to be addicted to this substance. It's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. And we see what you guys are doing. It's just a matter of time before there's a big, big whistleblower lawsuit and these people decide that they've had enough.
Exactly.
I think a lot of people are deciding that they've just had enough and they just want to do the right thing for the right reason, because just to show that there's still some humanity left in people and that we do care about the basic things about rights and wrongs, about truths, and about not crushing somebody's spirit and life because you can or because someone asked you to, some scumbag asked you to do.
Yeah. I mean, this whole thing is just really frustrating to me, because the one thing I've always said is I'll always protect or try to protect or those who are afraid to speak up. I had, as you know, a stalker for 7 years that reported me to every single state agency in the state of New Hampshire. She was a nutter. Total, complete nut job.
Like
to the point where my local PD was telling her, you contact this office one more time, we're going to file harassment charges, to the point where she even filed a bar complaint against our town prosecutor because he said that she was insane. Okay, so she filed a bar complaint against him. I mean, I know
who you're talking about. I could be wrong.
Yes,
but I think
you
I
do
know
who I'm talking about, but psycho. But anyways,
friend.
Yeah, oh yeah, Rick even knows psycho as well. So anyhow, on that note, it is.
Yeah, well, no, she tried to sue K98 Talk because that was the banner we were under before, because I put out a promo making fun of her and she was sad and tried to sue me over it.
Called Tickling the Wire.
Yes, oh yes. But we are at the end of our hour, believe it or not. So we will see you guys next week on the Red Wine.
We're going to have Caitlin Hutchinson, the mom from Kingston, whose both daughters were assaulted by illegal alien students. And the school is really treating her differently, I believe, because of her natural origin, which would be American.
Well, of course. We're the second-class citizens now. Have you guys not figured this out yet?
That's right. Hope everybody has a great week.